Hey everybody, welcome back to Magic Orthodoxy. My name is David. A while back, a couple weeks back, I did a review for the David Blaine Master Class. David Blaine and a couple of his friends got together and put together a beginning magic tutorial, kind of like a little seminar where you could be in community with other people as well, other students. And you also got a couple free decks out of it. And I was introducing the class, letting people know that I was going to be in it. But recently, some of you have reached out to me and asked, how was it? How was the David Blaine Masterclass? That sounds like a great magic question. All right, welcome back. Thanks for being here. If you don't know, my name's David, and I'm a teacher, a magician, and I'm a content creator here on YouTube. And what I do is I tell you about the latest and greatest in magic tricks. David Blaine, Masterclass. I'm a big, huge David Blaine fan, right? I've got his DVDs, I've got his books, I've got all his decks, I've seen him live, I've met him. Huge David Blaine fan. So when I saw this opportunity come up to be in a Masterclass with him, I jumped at the chance because I wanted to see what it was like, but I also wanted to share it with you. David Blaine hasn't done any sort of like teaching, right? Any formal teaching per se. And so this was an opportunity to kind of go behind the curtain, as it were. He promised that he would be exposing some of his trademark secrets, and we'll talk about that as well. But as far as the class goes, it was a master class. So I don't know if you've ever taken master class before or Skillshare before, but what this was like, it was a URL, right? And you would log in, and there was a navigational pane off to the left, kind of had your curriculum, your assignments, whatnot. And then there was a like a bulletin board where other people that were in my class, not everybody that was in the entire master class, but I was kind of grouped with about 30 other people, and we were given access to a bulletin board, kind of like a scrolling bulletin board, where we could ask questions, respond, post our own videos and share our own ideas. And then we were given assignments every single week, and we had to fulfill those assignments. And then we were given access to new content every week. And I think there's like 19 tricks, right? Or 19 videos, sorry. 19 videos, 19 teaching videos. And then you'd watch them, the videos, and it was just David Blaine, Aussie Wind, Steve Schiffo sitting around a table. They had some decks on the table, David Blaine decks, and very nondescript, kind of gray background. The teaching was done in a very organic way. David allowed the other guys to talk, whenever they wanted to. It was very fluid. They were always throwing out different ideas, and it was a very organic way to learn, and it didn't feel formal. It felt very casual. It felt like you were sitting at the table with them, learning right along with them. But let me just briefly give you the 19 titles, what we learned, what were those 19 videos. Obviously, one video was an intro, right? Talking about the class. And there was actually a second intro just with Aussie Wind where he told you like what materials you'd be needing. Right away, the first video after that was about key cards. So you learned all about key cards. And let me just say, through each one of these videos, they teach you tricks that go along with the principle. So they teach you about key cards, and then they teach you ways to use it. The next one was called Improvisational Magic and Bar Bets. Now, it's just like it sounds, right? Little quickies. Then you learn the slop shuffle. It was a great, great trick that went along with the slop shuffle, and it's a trick that I'm doing right now. The next one was about card controls. So obviously controlling a card at the top or the bottom. Then card forces. So again, they gave you a huge pile of beginning card forces. Then they had a video about multiple outs, and they gave you some tricks with that, talked to you about what multiple outs were and the best way to use them. And then following that, you learned about Magician's Choice, right? And how to implement that in your tricks. Then you learned Out of This World, and they gave you a couple of different versions of Out of This World. And then there was a really great week where they dived into the double lift, and then you also learned Chicago Opener. After that, they're going to teach you two-card monte, the famous two-card monte that David does in his specials. And then after that, there was a video on flourishing, right? How to do some special pretty moves with your deck. Then David taught the arm twist you saw him do with the ambulance driver in his magic special. And then he talked about a stunt, ripping a deck of cards in half. And then after that was breaking a pair of handcuffs. And then after that, They did how to hold your breath. That was a 30-minute video where they talked about all the ins and outs of holding your breath. And then the last 3 were more kind of just ways to keep learning, ways to keep growing. So there was a trick on brainstorming and how to come up with new tricks. And there was also how to invent a trick. And then there was a bonus card stab, deck stab trick in there as well. And I would really say this is really for beginners, right? This is for somebody that had absolutely no knowledge of card magic or magic at all, because that's how they approached it. They were assuming you didn't know how to do the crisscross force, right? They were assuming you didn't know how to do the riffle force. So they're teaching you all those beginning things back to back to back in a very sequential, very organized way. But again, just watching it as an intermediate, I felt like, okay, this is clearly all for beginners. But as an intermediate, I was still able to take a lot away. I mean, for one, as an intermediate, it was fun to be someone who could answer questions for the beginners, right? To be in the forums, to give other examples, to give recommendations for books, and to show and to upload videos. I got to upload videos and do trick ideas for people. When I did my homework, I was able to teach people tricks in the forum. So that was a lot of fun. Plus, I mean, I already knew how to do the arm twist. I already knew how to do Chicago opener, but it was the little nuggets of wisdom that Aussie Wynn dropped, that Steve Schiffo dropped. It was just those little tweaks and those little pieces of advice, or that, you know, Aussie would say, you know what I like to do? I like to do this. Or Steve would say, you know what would work better? I think this would work better. Hearing those things, those little nuggets, those were my favorite parts, because it was really like how you'd watch Aussie Wynn or Steve take a trick that we've always labeled as beginner or self-working, and how you up it and how you improve it and how you turn it into a really great working piece of magic. So that was fun. The other thing I noticed is just before I did this video, I logged back in to the site, and even now, months later, I am still able to access all my videos, and I'm still able to post to the bulletin board. So the people that were in my peer group, now whether they're still active, I don't know, but I could still be active. I could continue to upload and ask questions even now long since the class has been over. So I don't know if that was a question, if you were worried about maintaining access to the material, but it's still there for me. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. And yes, it is targeted at beginners, right? It is. And I would say if you've ever taken a master class before, or if you've ever taken like Skillshare, it's probably gonna be very similar to that. But if you're a David Blaine fan, like I am, I think you'll get a lot out of it. And like I said, the slop shuffle trick, the Chicago opener trick, and the out of this world trick, those are my favorite 3 classes, even though I knew how to do all 3 of those, right? I knew how to do all 3 of those. Watching David do it in his David Blaine way, I really enjoyed. And I hadn't done Chicago opener in a really long time. And I brought it back into rotation. I did. After watching him do it, I said, wow, I need to be doing that trick. And Chicago opener is now in my deck all the time. And it's now in my go-to. Just that was, and it was that one takeaway, you know. Oh, and also doing Out of This World. I had done a version of Out of This World, and I like Out of This World. And they sort of taught the version that I do, sort of. And they probably didn't teach the version I do because they didn't have permission, but they did something very similar. And I was like, oh yeah, I don't put Out of This World into my rotation as much as I should, and it doesn't require any setup. Like my version of Out of This World doesn't require any setup at all. And so just this class served as a reminder, you know. It reintroduced me to Chicago opener and said, you need to start doing it. And then it reminded me that Out of This World's pretty powerful, and that I knew a version and that I just hadn't done it in a long time. So I have put all of those back into rotation, and that was my takeaway. Just reintroducing me to some classics and just reminding me that those are good tricks and that they should be in my day-to-day. So I hope that answered some questions for you. Of course, I'm always available to answer questions. I answer comments. So unlike other YouTubers, I know that they don't have time always, or there's some YouTube channels that never answer comments. I always do. I always answer all my comments. I want to help you guys. That's why I'm here. I want to be a resource for you guys. So if there's any questions you have about that or anything that I can answer, put it down below. And if you've got your own magic question, right? If you got a magic question and you'd like to see me answer it on one of these Wednesdays, jot it down. And if I haven't done it yet, remind me, jot it down again, and I'll see if I can get to it. I'm trying to answer all those questions for you. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.